Holy physics. And Jean died for this. Oh well, I don't complain. Julius Caesar and Pompey the Great were initially political allies, forming part of the first triumvirate with Crassus. However, after Crassus' death, their relationship aged like milk, leading to a civil war, and even though Pompey aligned with the Roman Senate, after a series of defeats he fled to Egypt, where he was assassinated in 48 BCE. I am honestly not sure if Hoyo will play into this with the story they are trying to build in version 1.2, but it sure would be cool if they would. Anyway, let's cover Caesar's kit, her combos, her best disk drive sets and stats, her weapons, her mindscapes, her teams and how to play her correctly, and let's also have a look at her pros and cons. Welcome, I am Rivenous and this is your complete guide to Caesar. No, not that Caesar. We will start with an overview of her kit, and fortunately for us, her kit sounds more complicated as it is. Her basic attacks are a 6-part basic attack chain, and that's about it. Okay, I lied, cause she has this cool mechanic here where you can consume SS points to cast basic attack Dead End, and Dead End will actually group smaller enemies together, which is incredibly useful for the trash mobs in Shio defense. However, the core of her kit is centered around blocks and hence her special, and more specifically her EX special, which both have 2 parts to it. When attacked by an initial enemy attack, pressing her EX special at the right time will interrupt the enemy attack and trigger a perfect block. Perfect block negates all damage and has her follow the block with a shield strike. You then can press EX special again at no additional energy cost to deal significant damage and daze. What this means in practice is you are gonna smash your special when you see the flash until stuff happened. Technically, you can also do the same with her normal special as well, with the difference being that her special only triggers a perfect block when she is hit during the cast and not if she also interrupts an enemy with it. Pressing her special again will then trigger retaliation. However, you will see as per usual, you will not really use her special much. Furthermore, whenever Caesar triggers a perfect block, retaliation or defensive assist, her impact is increased by 18% for 3 seconds. Using her EX special, chain attack or ultimate will then also trigger her core skill, which grants a shield to the entire team for 90 seconds or until used up, after which the shield's buff will linger for 5 seconds longer. The shield's value is actually shared between the entire team, and while the shield is active, the current on-field character only has their anti-interrupt level increased, and on top of that they also gain 1000 flat combat attack. As for her additional ability, if another character in the team can activate a defensive assist or is from the same faction, when activating a perfect block, retaliation, defensive assist or basic attack Dead End, she will apply a debuff to all enemies within the 7-meter radius, which increases their damage taken from all teammates by 25%. That is a lot. Her dodge assists, ultimate and chain attacks are nothing special, however I do want to mention her dash attack and assist follow-up, because those are just yet another method of triggering retaliation similar to her special. And that honestly already covers her kit, so let's talk about how we actually play her. Well, unless you really like Caesar a lot or have her M6 and you don't care much about optimal play, she will usually not take the field for long due to the massive duration for her buffs and debuffs. Her, in my opinion, most applicable combo is a simple defensive assist into assist follow-up into EX special overpowered shield bash. This will provide you with the shield and trigger her additional ability as well. However, this will not always reliably trigger her signature weapon. The signature weapon requires to trigger an interrupt, again, the defensive assist can do that but it's not guaranteed, or a perfect dodge, which Jane by the way likes a lot of, well, any teammate, which brings us to our second combo. EX special, parry into EX special overpowered shield bash, or alternatively you can also do dash attack into EX special overpowered shield bash. These are, in my opinion, the most important combos she has, and due to the long durations of her buffs and debuffs, you can almost guarantee a perfect uptime on all of these. Because her damage profile does not matter much, she is more of a daze and buff bot, we want to also focus more on that. Her shield and even more so importantly the attack buff scales heavily with her core skill level, going up to a massive 1000 combat attack. This also means maxing out her core skill is our utmost priority. Since daze and hence impact is a limited source, we want to focus next on maxing out her skills, which we use the most, which leaves our final skill priority at core skill into special into basics chain and assist into dodge. For her weapons, surprise, her signature weapon is her best in slot and she suffers a little bit from the same problem Seth does. She cares about defense as much as my grandma about the newest iPhone. Not at all. Zero, nada y niente. This means her signature is her best in slot, however Seth's signature and also Spring's Embrace are her best other options. However, since her signature is a team-wide damage and daze bonus, all options not being her signature are honestly lagging quite behind by a bit. Regarding her disc drives, the new 4-piece set Protopunk is her best in slot, which can be matched nicely with a 2-piece Shockstar Disco. If 4-piece Shockstar Disco or 4-piece Swing Jazz are alternative options, although not as strong, depending on your team composition. However, because we care mostly about her daze, at least a 2-piece Shockstar Disco should always be included in her build. In regards to all other stats, not called impact, we can focus on her damage, with her overall priority being crit values and attack percent. For her main stats, that means crit rate in slot 4, physical damage percent or attack percent in slot 5, and impact in slot 6 are her best choices. As for her substats, we want to focus on crit damage and crit rate first and foremost, followed by attack percent and then flat attack and flat pen. All of that leaves us with her Mindscapes. They are good, very good, especially the first two. Again, just like with Jane. Her Mindscape 1 not only grants us a free shield when the game starts and again every 5 minutes, but also more importantly a 15% all attribute shred to all enemies within 5 meters. This will basically be active, well, permanently, which makes this Mindscape pretty freaking good. Her Mindscape 2 grants Caesar more energy, but again, more importantly, it raises the attack buff by 50% for a total of up to 1500 attack. Not as valuable as her M1, but still pretty good. Her M2 also allows units such as Lucy to focus less on her attack and instead we can focus more on impact or crit values for her. Her M3 and 5 are still not the greatest, but because we care actually about her daze, this is the next best and only daze upgrade we can get, which makes those Mindscapes at least somewhat usable. Her M4 makes her not really care about her energy anymore, but it honestly doesn't matter much. Lastly, her M6. Her Mindscape 6 is good, but only if you want to play her as main DPS. It also shifts her stat priority to focus more on crit damage and attack percent or even pen ratio more than, well, crit rate. Overall, her M1 and M2 are good stopping points for her Mindscapes. Let's talk about her teams. There is surprisingly less to say about her teams, because she is a very generic daze and support bot. I would like to point out that Caesar can be used instead of Seth in a Jane team, however only if you have her signature, since Jane can repeatedly trigger the perfect dodge condition and without her signature Seth is actually better in Seth's specific team. But you can also just play Jane with Caesar and Seth, that works too. Caesar also finally gives some proper good support to Nekomatar and Corin, which is really good news for everyone who likes them. Soldier 11 found herself another team as well, and even Ellen can now have a proper stun support if you don't have Lycaon. I do want to mention though that Caesar's daze application is not as much as Lycaon's, and Lycaon also feels better to play in said team. But it is an option, so I did want to list it here. Obviously, there are more team options, but, well, I cannot list them all, there are just too many. And with that, we have finally reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for sticking around up until the end. If you have already watched the entire video anyway, please consider leaving a like and a comment to let me know if you are pulling for Caesar or not, and don't forget to subscribe. I wish you a great day. Peace.